All right, we are back again with another author. I am very excited, as always, to introduce our authors. Today we have James F. Carilli, who just wrote the book Program Management Redefined. And this is a little bit different from what we normally do, but it's still the same sort of thing. It is big ideas getting out to the world in a big way. So I'm really excited to have you here, Jim. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Sure. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Cori. I'm CEO of Aurora Borealis Publishing, and I'm the lucky person who gets to work with all these amazing authors. So, Jim, let's start out. Can you tell me just a little bit about you and about your background?
Sure. I guess there's a lot of different paths that led me to where I ended up with this book. So let's start kind of at the beginning. Early on in my life, I started out with the Army National Guard. I learned how to do construction work back then, with backhoes and bulldozers and payloaders and tractor trailers and the like. But what that really afforded me the opportunity to do was go to college through the GI Bill. And that was the best thing I think I've ever done in my life, was to join the National Guard and then move on through the various different opportunities that it afforded me with college. Got a bachelor's degree in management information systems. Soon after that, I started working with General Electric as a software developer. Well, that's what they call it today. Back then, they called it a programmer. So I was a COBOL programmer back in the day. And, over the years, I've kind of morphed my career through software development. I got into networking at Aetna. While I was at Aetna, I was the guy that wrote a bunch of lists of tasks. And they said, hey, you should probably be a project manager. I said, sure, let's do that. Since then, I've been with three of the big four, KPMG, Deloitte, and PwC, the big four accounting firms. And I'm currently with IBM. Through these consulting experiences, I've had a lot of opportunities, whether in the United States or out in the international opportunities with various different countries, to learn a lot more about how people are doing things. And over the years, well, my primary role has been as a program manager. I've had different roles: project manager, program director, enterprise architect, portfolio lead, product manager. All of them kind of came back to center when I started writing this book, so I could look at things in different perspectives.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a lot of background to think about, and like it's very interesting to think about all those pieces. And it's like this for any author. We have all of these things that have impacted us, and that's what we bring to the table when we create a book. So that's really interesting to think about it like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of years. It's a lot of years for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so you've brought all of that together to create Program Management Redefined. So why do we need to redefine program management? What does that mean?
It means a number of different things. I mean, the specific inspiration for the title and the topic were looking at other disciplines. Project management has been redefined several times over with the addition of these things that we call agile. And as we start to see agile at scale, whether it's Spotify, Rage, Safe, whatever methodology, discipline agile that people are using, we're starting to see different ways that people have been creative and have been able to refine our practices. If you look back when I was a software developer back in a long time ago, we didn't talk to the customer. We got a piece of paper, a data processing service request on paper, what we call the DIPSer.
Yeah.
We would read it, we would do the work, and then we would put it aside and go do another one. And the third one in the pile would be something that would be completely opposite of the first one. If we didn't talk to the customer, we weren't really allowed to talk to the customer. We just had to get that stuff done. And what ended up happening was, rework. We did all kinds of rework. Well, we've learned from those things through 1980s, through 1990s, as Agile became more prevalent. 2001, when the Agile Manifesto was written, and more recently 2009, 10, when we start seeing Agile at scale, we're starting to see a lot of these learnings being influenced into our software development, into our infrastructure development and into our business process world. So we're seeing a lot of things becoming redefined, and project management has been one of these things that's changed a lot. And project management, if you look at programs generally manage a bunch of different projects, okay, or oversee projects. So projects, as we've gone into software is focused on this thing Agile Scrum, which is really ceremonies for developing the software, but it's not all the pieces around it, like the resource management, like the risk management, like the budgeting and finance, variety of different other pieces that project management had. So today we're seeing a hybrid role that PMI is rolling out, which is a hybrid project manager scrum master, which is both disciplines merging together.
Mhm.
I think my effort was also to kind of think about program management differently, because as project management is changing, maybe they don't do the hybrid portion. Some of those things that project managers were doing are now being done by the program, because they have to be done by someone. Someone's got to procure resources. Someone's got to manage the budget. Someone's got to look at risks. Someone's got to look at the coordination of the entities, all the various different pieces, parts, so of systems view of everything, to really understand what's going on and what other programs are happening concurrently that may influence or impact your current program. So I think this time to take these learnings that I've seen over the years, some things that I've learned from others, and some things I brought forward myself into a new book to redefine the profession, to really be agile focused, agile related, but organizational change management focused as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So just in case anybody's watching and they don't understand what Agile is, can you just briefly explain what that means and like what it would be considered? Because I know like
Okay.
you'll know the word Agile, but what is Agile exactly?
Agile is kind of short for agility. Okay, so what we're really trying to do is we're trying to do things, faster using fewer resources. At the bottom, at the most basic of it, we're trying to maximize the use of resources and minimize the burnout. Because as we start to, Agile will look at things. In the old world, we used to use waterfall. So we would do all of the design, then all of the development, then all of the testing, then then go to production. And oh, guess what? It's been 2 years and everything's changed. So now you're delivering something nobody wants anymore. With Agile, what we're trying to do things in 2 week, generally time boxed increments, where we're doing all of those phases, but only on the highest priority of work in 2 week sprints, 2 week deliveries. So now we can get immediate feedback about what's going on. And if in 2 weeks the next group of things change from priority perspective, we have the flexibility to change that. That's the beauty of Agile, is that we're not looking at this thing from a 2 year view and delivering this behemoth at the end that nobody really wants. We're looking at things from a 2 week view, well, from a 3 month view, breaking it up into 2 week views and delivering incrementally.
Okay, so it sounds like it's not necessarily just awareness that things are going to be changing, but acceptance that they need to change and that we have to pay attention and watch for things that need to change so we can adapt as we're going, instead of going, oh crap, we've got this thing and now we have to go back to the beginning.
And that's a big part of the organizational change management focus of this, is when we start looking at change on change on change, we've got to look at change fatigue. This is when people just have, you've you've changed my job 17 times in the last 4 months. Why couldn't you have gotten it together and changed it once or twice in the last 4 months? And that's where organizational change focus comes in for program management. We don't see that in the standard right now. We don't see organizational change management as a focus area in the standard right now. But we see it in industry. We see it every day. And that was part of the reason why I said I'm not really redefining it myself. I think the community has redefined it. I'm just capturing it into a single book so that people can take advantage of these opportunities to look at, when we say organizational change management, look at all the things your organization is producing. Look at all the changes you're making. Stop killing your end users. I mean, make it easy on the people who work there.
Yeah.
You know, don't give them 4 changes that week and 7 changes the next week. Give them one big change in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that's what the program management can do, is it can coordinate all those efforts in such a way that they land at the right time with a person who's also been trained to accept it and understand what it is, instead of just going, here's something new, don't worry about it, it's minor. So I think that that's a big problem we see, and that's where the focus needs to be, is let's look at the end user, because at the end of the day, their acceptance or denial is really the success of the product.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing all of
All
that.
right.
Yeah, so knowing all these things, what was it that made you want to write this book?
Um, it's interesting. I've supported a number of, I started out at Aetna. I wrote a standard for the local area network and wide area network standards. And while I was at Aetna, I learned some things about becoming a project manager. Then I became a PMP, I think sometime around 2001, 2003, which is a project management professional. At that point, I said, I think this is going to be my career now. So I've worked with the Project Management Institute on 8 different international standards and practice guides as a vice chairman, as a committee member, contributing author, subject matter expert reviewer. And after a while, I was looking at these standards and saying, one day, maybe I should have my name on the front of the book instead of the back of the book, you know? Um,
Absolutely.
but also too, throughout my career, I've always found that there's 2 schools of thought. Knowledge is power. Holding knowledge, some people think is power, and sharing knowledge, other people's power. I think sharing knowledge is power. And I think that empowers everybody around you. And I've made it a principal part of my professional life to, share knowledge, whether it's presenting research at academic or professional conferences, or working on these standards, or serving as guest lecturer for MBA students, or, helping people start their careers as a mentor, or even providing training. So I think it's really important to share and give back. And one thing I've found is, as I was starting to scan the environment for new ideas around program management, there wasn't a lot of it. And so I had some notes I put together, and I put some things, and then as I'm writing this book, I'm trying to think about who's going to be the recipient of this book, who would best benefit from this book, and things of that nature, and what kind of content would they really want to use and see. So once I finished the book, I'm very pleased with the outcomes, but I think I also met the goals of, sharing information with a broader audience, and also, hopefully moving the profession along another peg, um, along the continuum of wherever it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are all really great things. I love that you said sharing knowledge is power. I think that's a really important thing for everybody to pay attention to. It's not just about us, it's about passing it on and helping other people, and all of us moving forward together. So I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So cracking into the book, first of all, show the book. We didn't get to show the book.
Okay, so let's see
Yeah.
if you can see it without it being too
Um,
fuzzy. No, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay. I'll share my copy.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. There you go. That's beautiful. Thank you.
There it is. Program Management Redefined. Big shout out to Karen Kapteline for her work
Absolutely.
on this cover. It turned out fantastic. So diving into the book a little bit, can you tell us just a little bit about it? I think we've gotten a lot about the overarching ideas. Just a little bit about the book itself and who it would help.
Well, I think the book was primarily written for those who are in the program management roles today, or those who aspire to be a program manager or enter the profession in any one of the roles that are in that periphery. But it's also others who can benefit from that, is those who may need to hire a program manager. What am I looking for? Those who want to assess the business case for investing in program management. Is it worth spending the extra money, which a lot of people think of as overhead, to have this additional structure And the structure really provides three things. It provides strategic alignment. That first thing is so important. Are you actually doing what your organizational goals are? It provides governance. So we're making sure that somebody's checking the checkers, right? But that's not the biggest part. I think the biggest part is delivery support. And as these teams are working together, and as these teams are working individually, how are we going to fuse all that together and make sure that we provide a comprehensive product at the end of the day that serves the community, and an organizational change that's well managed so that the end users can adopt and accept the outcomes. When I look at the program managers themselves, the framework that I built, the program delivery framework, is a combination of things. It's a combination of certainly some things that they're familiar with, change management, risk management, communications management. But I added a couple of other things too, organizational change management, which I've said a few times now, as well as learning and development. I've found it so important to focus on learning and development, not only for the end users, but for the teams, but not only for the teams, for the management.
Right.
I think if management knows what's going on and knows your process, they can feel a lot more involved in it, and they can become a lot more involved in it. And I think that helps everyone. So from a management perspective, certainly they can look at the business case to invest in program management. They can look at opportunities to deploy teams and how they want to deploy teams, whether they want to consolidate different programs together or separate and make larger programs happen, and a variety of different other tasks that might be involved.
Wow. So it sounds like a lot of people could could be helped with this.
I think so.
Yeah. Um, so let's look at, it's program management redefined. So let's look at program managers. Why would you say that they need to be agile in their approach? And we've talked a little bit about the nuts and bolts of this, but overarching, like why do they specifically need to be agile in their approach?
Well, I think what's interesting is we probably need to start off with, what does agile or agility mean again? Let's just revisit
Okay.
that quickly.
Yeah.
So agility from an organizational perspective is your ability to sense, identify, qualify, quantify opportunities,
Okay.
respond internally by assessing and prioritizing them, and then finally delivering those through flexible structures where you can move resources around. So when you think about what a program does, from the top level, they identify, qualify, they sense opportunities, they go out to the market, they find out what the customers are looking for. They, from a macro perspective, not the individual customer, what's the market doing? And how can I quantify that? How can I qualify that? How can I prioritize that? Which of these things is most important from a strategic planning perspective? Then respond, how can we work internally to be able to change or integrate whatever this new thing it is that we need to do? And then finally, a program manager is also responsible for delivering. So how can I develop, flexible structures, meaning resources? Where am I going to get my resources from? Within the organization, I only have so many. So maybe I have to go external, whether it's consulting or contracting or some other method, teaming. If it's a, like, say, for example, a government proposal, we're going to go to market together to say, hey, government, this is what we have. We think this is the best for you. But I think at the end of the day, program managers need to be agile um, to respond to the changes that are continually happening. Change is a constant, and agility is going to be the new constant.
I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Um, so knowing all of those things, what effect do you hope that your book, Program Management Redefined, I'm going to show it again because it's so awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
What effect do you hope that your book and the ideas from this book will have on the modern workplace?
Well, I think everybody's wrestling with maximizing their resources and trying to eliminate that change fatigue, burnout that
Yeah.
I talked about earlier,
Right.
and while maintaining a competitive advantage. My thought is, if we focus on the right things at the right time, in the right sequence for the right purpose, we can reduce that churn and have things done right the first time. Doing things right the first time saves money. It reduces that change fatigue or burnout, and it actually invigorates the team, and
Yeah.
the team wants to move on from there. Um, the hope is that folks receive the benefits that I talk about in the book, whether that's, the practices will help improve alignment, so we're building what we should, enhance visibility so we can see what's going on, everybody can see, improve collaboration so everyone knows what's happening and what their role is in it. And while at the same time we're managing risk, we're increasing efficiency, we're improving agility, we're reducing costs, and at the end of the day we want improvement on our ROI, return on investment.
Yeah.
Everything that a company takes on, or an organization of any sort, whether it be profit, nonprofit, government, it has a reason, and there's an investment, and it's really about maximizing that investment to provide the maximum benefit for that organization.
Yeah. That sounds like a lot of benefits. I imagine it all kind of boils down to a happier work environment and,
Absolutely.
better, better ability to serve the customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those are awesome missions to have too. So I wanted to wrap us up. We've been talking a lot about Jim's new book, Program Management Redefined. Of course, if anybody watches this and has questions for us, please drop them in the comments. We're happy to respond. I'm going to show Jim's book again one more time, just because it's so awesome. And where can people connect with you online?
People connect to me with programagility.com, all one word, programagility.com, or on
Okay.
LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have more people on LinkedIn profile to grow that community. And yeah, that'd be great if folks can check those things out.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I will drop the link for your website in the comments, and of course the link for the book. So if you're interested in Program Management Redefined, the link will be below. We just launched today, so we're very excited that this is available for everybody all over the world. Jim, thank you again for joining me today with this and for talking all about your book and your wisdom coming from all of the different things that you've done in the program management field.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. For everybody who's watching, thank you for joining us and have a good day.